All righty. Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I am Adelai Brown, your heart coach, and I am so thankful to have you all here with Heal With Me. Heal With Me is our Monday night session for men and women to come together and confront matters of the heart so that we can tell ourselves the truth and live our purpose lives. I'm so thankful to be here. Thank you to everyone that's joining here, those of you that are joining online, those of you that will catch the replay. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so thankful to have y'all. I'm really excited about tonight's call. And I'm really excited about what God is doing in our lives, right? I'm thankful because we're living in a time in our world where there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of issues that are going on that could cause us to be stagnant, that could cause us to be unstable in our thoughts and our feelings about ourselves. So tonight I wanted to talk to you about 3 reasons why you're feeling unfulfilled. 3 reasons why you're feeling unfulfilled. So, one of the things, being a heart coach, one of the things that I have found is that many of us will go through life and not really feel the feeling of fulfillment, right? We might have some things that bring us joy, but there are many people that are struggling with, am I doing what God called me to do? Am I, is this still the thing? Maybe you had something, but things are changing now. So now you're trying to figure out maybe like where you are in life. And I know that we've been watching over the last 2 years with the pandemic coming, so many different people stepping out, trying new things. But then there's also been a lot of people who have been very reserved, very fearful, not knowing because of the uncertainty. So tonight I want to talk to you about 3 reasons why you might be feeling unfulfilled, uncertain, and afraid to really move forward and do what it is that God is asking you to do. Now, before we get started, I want you to think to yourself, is there anything in your life right now that you could think of that you want to do, that you have wanted to do? Is there something that you keep putting off, but there's that burning desire down on the inside that's telling you, I can't let this go. I can't give this up, right? If you can relate to that, or maybe you are going about your day every day and you are doing what you have to do to survive, but you just feel very empty when your day comes to an end. You have faith, you believe in God, but it's almost like, is he hearing me? Why am I so unhappy? Why does it seem like even when I get the things I want, I'm still not fulfilled with those things? Well, tonight I think I might be able to help you with that. And we're going to jump right in. So as I thought about this, I had to think about my own personal life and the times that I have personally felt unfulfilled, afraid, unhappy with my life and where my life, the turns that I've taken, the space that I found myself in. And one of the biggest things I've found, even in working with my clients, when I'm speaking to people, is that one, you care too much about what people think about you. That's one of the reasons why you don't feel fulfilled. Now, hear me good. I know you might say, oh, I don't care what they think about me. I'm going to do what I want to do. People going to always talk. I don't care what they say about me. But is that really the truth? Is that really the truth? Or is it that you have this facade up where you intellectually you're telling yourself, oh, I don't care about what they think. But if I ask you, well, why aren't you doing whatever it is in life that you want to do? Would it be the judgment of others, the critiques and the comments of others that might be the thing that's causing you to hold back? I want you to really think about that, right? One of the things that I have been working to overcome for the last couple of years, especially since I've been on this emotional wellness and healing journey, is no longer succumbing to the disease to please. When I was younger, my self-esteem was very low. So I felt like in order for me to truly be loved or for me to truly be appreciated or valued, then I needed to do things that make the people around me happy. And I mean, as a kid, little children can't really process, you know, things in a way that is the truth, right? Little kids only know like good or bad, right or wrong. They don't really have the ability to reason. So from a young age, I realized if you get good grades, if you, do your chores, if you, try to be that good kid, then people will like you. People will appreciate you. People will care for you. People will support you. People will love you. And what happens is, there's nothing wrong with getting good grades. There's nothing wrong with doing chores and things like that as a child, but it is a problem when you feel like love is transactional. And many of us have been raised to think that love is transactional. And what that means for us is that when it's time for us to step out and do what it is that God is calling us to do, many times one of the biggest things that'll stop us is we don't know what the people around us are thinking. Now, when I talk about you care too much about what people think, right? Tonight, we're talking about 3 reasons why you might be feeling unfulfilled. I'm not talking about just like random people on social or people you may not know. I'm talking about the people around you, the people in your circle, your husband, your significant other, your children, your siblings, your colleagues, your cohorts, right? The people who say they love you and they have your back. But many of us are close to and around people that we love. We know that they love us, but we don't trust them. We don't trust them with our dreams. We don't trust speaking to them because of fear of what they're going to say back, because of fear of how they're going to critique us or how they're going to judge us or how they're going to respond to whatever it is we're trying to do. I remember when I wrote my first book, Anchored, Be Blessed Daily, Volume 1. If you don't have it, go get it. Go to my website, theheartconnections.com, and order it. You'll have it in a couple days. It's a wonderful book. It's a daily devotional, 367 days of motivation and inspiration designed to keep you anchored. Now, when I did my first book, it took me 8 years to publish this book, 8 or 9 years to publish this book, and 9 years. And a big reason why I didn't publish the book, I told myself it was because I didn't have the money. I told myself I didn't know what I was doing. I'm not a professional writer. I told myself all of those things. But one of the foundational reasons why I didn't publish that book in those 9 years was because I cared too much about what people thought about me. And the crazy thing is what I've learned, and when I say I care too much about what they thought, like their critiques, who are you to write a book? What makes you think you can write a book? And then those people who are perfectionists, and I had this happen quite a few times. People get my book and comment on typos and grammatical errors that they may find throughout the book. And all of that is fine. I'm okay with that now. But when it was time for me to initially do this, I was terrified because I knew that there were people around me who say that they love me, who say that they're just caring, who would literally pick apart what I was doing to find everything that was wrong. And I wasn't in a place to truly be able to tell myself, hey, that's not a big deal. Okay, that comma isn't there. Maybe that should have been a semicolon. Maybe I should have used a different version of that word. Okay, fine. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't have written a book. It doesn't mean that, I'm not, it doesn't mean that I'm not, sorry about that, guys. Hold on. It doesn't mean that they didn't care. It doesn't mean that that they weren't there for me. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that they didn't care for me. But what it does mean was that what it did mean was that I had to get to a point where I didn't care what they had to say. Did it bother me? Yes. Did it get on my nerves? Yes. But the constant growth, doing the hard work and healing really, really helped me to overcome, which allowed me to write my next book, which was an ebook called Embracing the Process, from bruised and broken to beautiful and blessed, right? I was able to move forward and do that one and not allow the need or desire for perfection to stop me. Because the truth of the matter is, when I was writing the first book, it took me 9 years because I was trying to be perfect. And I was trying to be perfect because I thought that being perfect would allow me to dodge and maneuver around the negative comments, the critiques that I was not emotionally and mentally ready, or I thought I wasn't emotionally and mentally ready to do it. Okay, so when we think about, I want you to look at your life, and I want you to think about what areas of your life have you been shrinking or not living as bright as you could, not showing up as consistently as you could, and why haven't you been doing that? Would it have anything to do with what they may have to say about you? Anything to do with that? Anything? Think about it. You care too much about what others think. It's simply put, pride is in the way. And you have lived your life long enough. Now it's time for you to enjoy it. It's time for you to live whole and fulfilled. And you're not going to be able to do that when you're constantly looking over your shoulders, worrying about what those that are closest to you have to say. Now, am I saying that you just cut off people's opinions, never listen to them, and go rogue and do your own thing? No, I'm not saying that. But you have to come to a place with you and God where you have a resolve in your spirit that you're going to overcome those bullies. Some of these people may be alive or dead. Maybe the critique came from somebody that's long gone, but what they said to you is still paralyzing you from moving forward. I'm telling you now, when it's time for you to speak to God, when it's all said and done, you cannot give him the excuse, well, I didn't do it because I didn't want them to talk about me, or I didn't do it because I don't like when people look at me funny, or I don't like when people judge me and talk about me. No, what the truth is, what I had to learn through this process, and what I want to encourage you with is, you can hear what people have to say, but you can choose if you're going to accept it or not. You can hear someone's opinion. It can be a fact to them. It can be a truth to them. But you still have the power, and you still have the choice to choose. Will you accept this or not? And you can do that. You can absolutely do that. But what you cannot do, excuse me, y'all. If I'm going to put a link in the chat, if you have anyone that you'd like to share this with, and that might want to tune in with us, if they want to watch live on YouTube, I shared a link in the chat. I know some people prefer YouTube over Zoom. And so I just wanted to share that because I want to make sure that everyone who would like to heal with us can. And remember, men are welcome to join us as well. But what I want you to understand is that feeling unfulfilled a lot of times is rooted in lies that we're believing about ourselves. And one of those biggest things is just caring too much about what other people have to say. All right, that's the first thing. We'll come back to that. It's rooted in pride. Just remember that. The second thing that I feel is the reason why you're feeling unfulfilled is you're not ready to tell yourself the truth. This is something that transformed my life, because up until I really started doing my work, my heart work, I'm so thankful for God protecting me from myself. I'm so thankful that God put me on this journey, because I can tell y'all the truth. I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for healing, and if it wasn't for hard work, and if it wasn't for God really radically changing how I view myself and the world around me. I really saw myself as an ant amongst elephants. I really saw myself as small and insignificant. Now, I know when I say this, there are people that say, but you've always been loved and you've always had that. And I have. And I know that. But what I'm saying is, I didn't feel it. And because I didn't feel it, it was a belief that kind of grew in me. So even when people would love on me and show me that love, I couldn't completely receive it because I wasn't ready to tell myself the truth. I had believed the lies. I believed that I wasn't good enough. I believed that I couldn't do it. I believed that I had messed up and a lot of my chances were over. I believed that because I was a teen mom and living on the project for a while, it was almost like, is this my lot in life? But I fell into that cycle because of pride and fear. I wasn't ready to tell myself the truth. Not so much about everybody else, but tell myself the truth about myself. And not just bad things. I needed to embrace the truth that I was beautiful, that I was very intelligent, that I could overcome any obstacle that came my way. But no, I wanted to go on and on about how this person wasn't doing me right. And, now I was in a very abusive relationship, and it was like, well, he is no good. And my dad wasn't in my life. Well, everything is wrong because my daddy's not in my life. My mom and I weren't getting along for a very long time. Oh, my life just ain't right. I got the worst mama. Everybody else got a good mama. My mama always got to cut up. My mama always got to act crazy. My mama always, I felt that way, right? Everybody else got something good going on for them, but not me. That is how I felt. But I wasn't telling myself the truth. I was responding to situations that was going on in my life, but I had a part in those situations too. And I tell you this because when I work with my clients, one of the things that is very, very clear to me is that often we're not healing and we're not growing because we're not telling ourselves the truth. We get so caught up, we get so focused on what the other person is doing and what they did and what happened to us, that we really don't stop and look at what our choices, what space our choices have brought us to, what crossroads we are at right now because of the choices that we have made, because of the situations we chose to deal with. There was a time that I thought I couldn't build my businesses because I'm a wife and I have children, and I didn't think that I could have a successful business because I thought I had to have a 4-year college degree in order to do that. And I've seen people without a 4-year college degree. I have my associate's degree. And I think it's awesome for us to get our 4-year degrees and master's degrees and PhDs and all of that. But I convinced myself that I wasn't going to be a successful business owner until I got my bachelor's at least. And so that was a lie that I was telling myself that kept me bound. I'm not saying a degree is invaluable, but that was not the route God was taking me on. But because I had committed to caring more about what other people had to say about me than what I had to say about myself, and then also because of that, now I'm living a lie. There were a lot of other things. I wanted to blame people, friends I had in the past, for why our relationships were in shambles. I wanted to blame whoever, student loan people for why on whatever it was. But it wasn't until I realized that the fear and insecurities that I was dealing with was calling me to live an illusion. or be delusional, however you want to put it. So I want you to think about your life. Who are you angry with? What stories have you been playing in your head, maybe for the last couple of days, weeks, months, for some of you years, that maybe you need to take some time and reassess, and maybe it's time to tell yourself more of the truth about that situation. For example, I use my family as an example a lot because I mean, I've lived it and I've gone through it. So there was a time where I felt like I was like losing my kids, right? Just kind of slipping from them. They're teenagers. Anybody that's ever, well, and young adults, 3 of them. I'm the youngest one is 10. I don't want to leave Chris out, but anybody that's ever raised children and has adult children, you've been through this. You're probably going through this, but they were, excuse me. They were getting older, and I felt like we were close, but I wanted to be closer with them, and I could kind of feel their reluctance to get closer to me. And I asked them if everything was okay, is anything they need to talk to me about, and they said they were fine. It was nothing they needed to talk to me about. And I prayed about it. I asked God to kind of show me, like, help me, Lord, show me what it is. Because I chalked it up to, they're just teenagers, and, you know, that's just how they are. And one day I came in the house, and my oldest and middle child were playing a video game. And I came in the house, and they were like, hey, mama. And their mood was light, but I had an attitude. So I came in the house, and I was like, they were like, hey, mama. And I was like, hey, y'all talking about, hey, mama, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. And I could tell that they had done the chores, but it wasn't the way that I wanted it done. But it wasn't about that. It was the way I reacted to them. It was what I said and how I said it. And I saw the look on their faces. It was like deer in headlights. Like I caught them off guard. And immediately I felt bad. That was like the first time I really got on them and felt bad about it. And I went in my room, and I was like, kind of like talking to God about it. Because they're just kind of looking like, this lady's crazy, something wrong with her. Like, she's just coming here fussing. We thought everything was fine. And when I went in the back, and I felt really down about it. It happened so fast, but I felt so down about it. And I was like, God, you got to help me. Like, what's going on? And he said, you're doing to them what your mother did to you. And you didn't like it. So how do you think, that's making them feel? It was like a slap in the face. It was like when you see on the movies, they'll hold somebody by their shirt and just kind of slap them across their face and try to get them. If you ever saw the Three Stooges, that's old show, but they used to do stuff like that on there. And it was life-changing for me, because up until that point, I was telling myself, they're just teenagers. They don't want to listen. They just want to be hard-headed. But I wasn't ready for the truth of, I was being to them the exact thing that I did not want done to me. And one thing I know about the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated, right? I think that's Matthew 7, I don't want to lie, 12. Y'all Bible scholars, but it's in Matthew 7. I know that. The thing that got me was, up until that point, like, I was like living this lie, like, oh, it's the kid's fault. It's not mine. When in actuality, it was me. I needed to tell myself the truth. There was another time, I write about this in my other book, Help Save Me from My Broken Heart, Your Journey to Living and Loving Again. If you haven't gotten that, you need to get it. It is hard work at its finest. And I talk about how I had all these issues with my husband and angry with him about this and that. And he won't talk to me and all these other things. And God was like, he won't talk to you, but you won't talk to me. And I am closing that up for you, so that it will draw you to me. Woo. Truth bomb. Truth bomb. See, when I talk about telling yourself the truth, I'm talking about at the core. I'm talking about those silent conversations you have in your head that you wouldn't even dare put in a journal. I'm talking about all the situations where you have been the victim, where it's time for you to take ownership. I'm not saying that what happened to you was right, what they did to you was right, but what I am saying is that it's time for you to start telling yourself the truth about what happened. My father wasn't in my life growing up. He came in my life when I was about 14, 15 years old. I was angry with him about that. I was very upset with him about that. As I got older, I realized the situation and the circumstance from which I was born. And that type of situation and circumstance doesn't necessarily will a child to spend a lot of time with their father. Yeah, maybe in some perfect world, but if we were in a perfect world, I wouldn't be existing. Let's just be honest. So I had to start to tell myself the truth, to start to see the humanity in my father, the humanity in my mother, so that I could see the humanity in myself. See, a lot of us miss it. We think we're letting people off the hook. This is where forgiveness comes in. Fear leading to forgiveness, right? Because when you start telling yourself the truth, you can not only forgive other people, you can start forgiving yourself for all the things you did that you have no business doing. All the secrets you're keeping that you know deep down inside is eating you up. It might not be deep down secrets about other people. It just might be about what you think about yourself. What you say, what are the silent thoughts you have when you look in the mirror? What comes to mind when it's time for you to step out and do something new or do something different? You are not feeling fulfilled because you, number two, are not ready to tell yourself the truth. Now, before we go into this third one, I want to preface this by saying I truly believe that the number one reason why, and I don't necessarily have them in a chronological order of what's most important versus what isn't. I'm just giving you three things I feel is why you're living, or those around you may be living, unfulfilled. This third reason why I believe you're unfulfilled and unhappy is something that I don't think we pay enough attention to. And I think because of the society and the culture that we live in, we have a tendency to put so much value on busyness versus true productivity. So the third reason why I believe that you or those you're connected with are so unfulfilled is because you have not answered the call on your life. What call? The call that God has placed on your life, the purpose. We were all put here to glorify God, but you have a specific, unique way that God created you to glorify Him. And I want to know, have you answered it? Are you consistently answering it? And if you haven't, and if you're not, I can tell you that will attest to why you are feeling so unfulfilled and so unhappy. No, you don't need to go back and get another degree unless the calling on your life answers that. No, you don't need to relocate and move someplace new unless the call requires that. But what you do need to do is commit to answering the call. The reason why I brought this up last is because the first two things, caring too much about what other people think and not telling yourself the truth, will cause you to live very stagnant in your life. It will also cause you to get very distracted. And many of you are doing good things, but is it a God thing? Hear me good. You're doing good things, but is it the thing that God called you to do in your life? For me, heart coaching was a call by God. I just naturally coach individuals because that's my personality and that's how I am. I'm an encourager. I'm an exhorter. I love to uplift people. I love to pray with them and help them find their place in life. I love to help them explore the deep, dark areas that they've been trying to cover and avoid. And for a very long time, I did not want to answer the call. I started officially heart coaching, and I guess I would say when I started doing my text messages that led to my first book. So I would say 2005, 2006, 2006. Then I started a segment called Heart Talk, which is what Heal With Me is. We're just kind of evolving. And I did Heart Talk from 2014 to 2021. Took a little break. But actually, I really didn't take a break. I took a break from doing Heart Talk Live, but I never stopped doing Heart Talk. But God kind of led me into doing this. When I was sending the text messages, he said, just send out, I would send out daily text messages to over 300 people before we had smartphones and group chat. So I was individually texting over 300 people 5 days a week, usually Monday through Friday, at whatever time of the day that God gave it to me. It was amazing how God was blessing people through those however many characters, 200 characters, 250 characters, whatever is in a text message, because it was a older phone, and I didn't want to send out 2 texts because at that point people were still paying for their texts. If they went over their monthly plan, that's how long I was doing those messages. But I didn't realize that God was building me and prepping me. And by me sending a text, that was me answering the first call. Then the next call was, you need to do a Bible study group. It was more like a support group where you talk about the Bible and you talk about God, but you talk about life and how to apply the Bible in life. Well, I didn't want to do that because I didn't feel like I was living the life that type of person should live, right? I was still partying and going out a couple times a week, and I was still shacking up with my now husband. We were not married at the time. So, excuse me, y'all, a little scratchy throat. So I didn't feel like, I was like, God, are you really sure about that? In 2000 and, yes, sir.
I came to say hi. I also came to ask if I could go in the car and get the snack bag.
Yeah. Excuse me. So in 2000 I started doing text messages in 2006. In 2008, God started dealing with me about starting what is now Heal With Me, Heart Talk back then. And I was like, no, can't do that. Not when I'm at $2 Tuesday every Tuesday night and Free Friday every Friday night. I don't think you want me doing this. But he did. He really kept nudging me and nudging me and nudging me. It took me, 6 years to do it. So in 2014, September 1st, 2014, I did my first Heart Talk. We came from, I think it was like Proverbs chapter 9. It was talking about wisdom. I didn't even know what I was going to call it. The call would be from 9:15 to like 10:15 or until sometimes. And I didn't know until like getting on the first call, I was like, join me for Heart Talk. Because I was like, what am I doing? Talking from the heart. So I'm going to call it Heart Talk. I did not know how God was going to bless me and bless others just from me answering the call. And the way I answered the call was creating a call, right? I did not know that God was going to bring women from all over the country, different parts of the world, to tune in and listen and help their lives be changed. And not just women, men, children. I've had so many people tell me how Heart Talk blessed them, how hearing me talk about these different topics helped them. I'll never forget one night, there was a young lady. I remember I used to do it on a conference call, and I would see the information on the call at the end of the conference call, and it would show me the numbers that called in, because it was a conference call where you called in. And I knew most of the numbers because a lot of the people that called in were like my friends and family. But there was this one particular number that kept coming on. I mean, every week I would have like different numbers, but it was this one number that I didn't know that came on for a while, a couple months. I want to say it was like 6 months, but I know it was a while. Every Monday night, that person would get on, and I was on the conference call, not like Zoom, so it wasn't like I could necessarily see who was on there. I had all the prompts and everything cut off because I didn't want people like knowing what 8 people on the call or whatever the case may be. I wanted to keep it as authentic and comfortable so that it could stay a place of vulnerability and growth. And one night there was this young lady at the end of the call, like I will do tonight. I give everybody a chance to speak, ask them if there's anything that they would like to share, anything that's on their heart. And a young lady unmuted her phone, and she sounded like she was tearful. And she said, I think it was 6 months. I think she said, I've been getting on this call for about 6 months now. It was another friend of mine that invited her on. They were co-workers, and she knew that this young lady was going through a lot. And she said, hey, I do this Monday night call every Monday night. It really helps me. I think you should try it. And so she said she had the number for a while, and then she finally tried it. And she listened for 6 months. And she said, when I started calling, I was contemplating suicide. I was going to kill myself. But calling in every Monday night has truly transformed my life. I mean, I was in tears. Other people on the call were in tears. And what got me was, I want to say that particular Monday night, I was thinking about not doing Heart Talk because I had so much that was going on in my life that day. And that is when God really reminded me of how important it is for us to answer the call. And see, for many of us, ladies, and some gentlemen too, like we are so accustomed. If you're on this call, you are somebody who takes care of other people. I know my people in some way, shape, or form. You're loving on and caring for other people that you really don't have to, or maybe you don't have to go that hard, but you do because you're treating them how you would want to be treated. What I want to tell you is it is time for you to go hard like that for yourself. It is time for you to answer the call of God that is on your life. And some of you might be thinking, well, I don't even know what that is. What are you good at? What do you do effortlessly without having to try? It just comes natural to you. Some people, it could be singing. Some people, it could be baking. Some people, it could be writing. Some people, it could be piloting a plane. I don't know. Some people, it could be teaching. Some people, it could be whatever. But what is that thing that comes natural to you? What is God calling you to do in this season? It's time for you to answer the call. And I can promise you, if you answer the call in your life, you'll sleep better. You will rest better. You will feel a lot more courageous and confident about yourself and the life that you're living. But if you don't answer the call, then we just stuck. The message never comes through. There's a message that God created you with. It's in your DNA that needs to be shared with the world. What are you doing? Are you sharing it? Or are you critiquing yourself and not doing it? Because number one, back to what we talked about at the top of the hour, you care too much about what other people think. Number two, you're not telling yourself the truth. I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know what God is telling me to do. I'm not trying to play fun and tease people, but this is what we say and we do. But then when we start talking, when I talk to my clients and it's like, I don't know. It's like, I want to do this or I want to do that. It's like God is already speaking to you. But do you have the courage to listen and answer? Yes, courage, not confidence, Confidence is overrated. You don't need confidence to do anything. Do it afraid, but get it done. It's time to answer the call that's on your life. Not everybody else's life, not making sure everybody else's dreams come true. I'm talking about putting the focus on you. And I can already hear you. Well, isn't that being selfish? I like to be in the background. I don't like to be up front. I like to help other people. That's what God blessed me to do. You could save that. That's jive. I hear you. I hear you. That's a safe answer. That's a safe answer for somebody that's afraid to ruffle some feathers. That's a safe answer for someone who's afraid to be judged, to be critiqued. I'm telling you, we have wars and rumors of war. We're running out of milk and toilet paper and all these other things going on around the world. The people are flying to Mars. They're leaving the atmosphere. They're leaving our planet, going to other planets now. We need what God has put in you to contribute to what's going on in the world. You might have the cure for cancer, but you over here trying to help everybody else do what God called them to do when you don't realize the most valuable thing you could do is invest in yourself. But see, us as women, especially Black women, it is hard for us to do that because culturally we've watched our mothers and grandmothers and aunts and cousins just selflessly give of themselves, put their dreams on hold, put their calling on hold to help other people. And yeah, it looks good. Yes, it gets heralded and praised in the community, but did God say that's what he wanted? Remember, obedience is better than sacrifice. That's what 1 Samuel says in chapter 15. See, a lot of us don't mind sacrificing. You will give your kids, your spouse, your siblings, your neighbor, the people at the church, you'll give them whatever. But when it's time for you to do what God is calling you to do, crickets. So what I'm saying is if you want to be fulfilled, if you truly want to get what God has for you in your life, you truly, truly, truly have to answer the call in your life. And answering that call is going to, one, force you to tell yourself the truth. Answering that call is going to, two, force you to stop giving so much weight to the critiques and the opinions of others. I used to think that strong and outspoken people, strong-willed and outspoken people didn't struggle with this, but they do. In my years of coaching and talking with people and meeting with people in all different areas of life, all different financial classes, one thing I know for sure is that everybody in some way, shape, or form does care about what somebody else has to say about them. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but what I am saying is that should not take precedent over what God is telling you to do, what God has called you to do. So I want you to think about these three things. For those of you just joining, we've been talking about 3 reasons why your life is unfulfilled. 3 reasons why. The first one was you care too much about what others think. It's rooted in pride. Number 2, not in any chronological order. You're not ready to tell yourself the truth. Fear and forgiveness come into play when we're dealing with that. And number 3, you haven't answered the call of God on your life. Maybe you started and then you stopped. Maybe you got scared. Maybe you got cold feet. I don't know what it is, but it's time for you to do it. And I don't want you to think less of it. If you're good at sewing, sew. If you're good at coloring, color. If you're good at cutting, cut. If you're good at running, run. But whatever it is, answer the call of God on your life. I did this call last week from Jamaica. I went out of town. I didn't cancel the call because I'm committed to the call. I'm committed to Heal With Me because Heal With Me is attached to the calling that's on my life. I'm a realtor, a licensed realtor in the state of South Carolina. Why am I doing that? Because it gives me an opportunity to answer the call on my life. I'm a heart coach. What is a heart coach? I work with individuals to confront, I work with career professionals to confront matters of the heart, tell themselves the truth, and answer the call on their lives. This is a part of that. We've talked about, are you ready for love? We've talked about my divine heart transplant process and how connection, awareness, acceptance, forgiveness, decision, and taking action can transform your life. And all of that is a response to me answering the call of my life. There is a program that I will be launching here at the beginning of August, a self-paced program to help you and individuals like you answer the call of God on their life. But why am I doing this? Because I'm answering my call. What is yours? I've been out of the office for over a week. So I haven't been physically answering my phone. It's been on Do Not Disturb. I've been out of the country. So I haven't been physically answering those calls, but I'm very clear when the Holy Spirit is speaking to me on answering that call, because I want to be able to sleep at night. When I get to heaven, I want to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. And one thing I have found in reading the scriptures, Romans chapter 8, and I was going to paraphrase that, but right now, I think I'm going to read it. And I'm going to open up for questions and comments here shortly. But I want to read something to you. I'm going to read 2 passages of scripture to you because I want you to understand that this stuff is real and God is not playing with us. This is in the NIV version of the Bible. And this is what I'm going to Romans chapter 8. And it says, starting at verse 28, and we know that all things, and we know that in all things, hold up. I don't like that. Okay. Romans 8 and 28 says, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love God and to those who are called according to his purpose. For whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. See, Jesus came to this earth and he answered the call of his life. He came to die. He came to be crucified. He came so that we could have salvation and eternity, right? So we know all things work together for good. Just like that crucifixion seemed like it was hell, and it was. And Jesus literally went through hell. But look at the beautiful outcome. What I'm telling you is everything that you went through in life was preparing you for where you are right now. The Lord knew you before you knew yourself. He foreknew you. He predestined you. Your destiny was preset before you got here. He's already justified you. But this is the thing that got me. And I'm going down to verse 31. It says, what then shall we say to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? He who did not spare his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? Who shall bring a charge against God's elect? When you answer the call of God, you're God's elect. You choosing Jesus as your savior, you are God's elect. Who can bring a charge against God's elect? It says it is God who justifies. This is verse 33. I'm not making this up. God justifies. You don't need to please these people and justify it to them. Tell them to talk to God if they need justification. You don't have to live a lie no more. The Lord has justified you. So you can tell yourself the truth and shame the devil. Yeah, you might cry. Yeah, it might be a new identity that you have to take on because now you know the truth, and the truth is setting you free from the old lies and the old way of being. But you are justified through God. Verse 34. Who is he who condemns? It is Christ who died and furthermore is also risen. Let me skip down some. Verse 35. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Check this now, because a lot of you thinking, oh, I know God called me to do some things in my life, but you don't know what I've done. You don't know the places I've been, the people I've been with, the things that I've done with those people. You don't know me. Let me tell you something. This thing says, who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? As it is written, for your sake we are killed all day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Now, I hope this bless y'all like it blessed me. Yet in all these things, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other created thing shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. Woo! That's good. Let me tell y'all something. Paul just told us there's nothing that can separate you from the love of God. So people might talk about you and judge you. You might have to tell yourself the truth, and that's going to be gut-wrenching, soul-searching, because a lot of us would rather a pretty lie than the ugly truth. We say we want the truth, but we had a movie say you can't handle the truth, but you can't. And it's time to, because that's how we're going to save our world. We don't have to be afraid of nuclear strikes and all these things. If we start praying and coming together and getting on one accord to answer the call of God on our lives, nothing can stop us. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. Now, we know that there's nothing we've done that can separate us from the love of God. Now, this is my last thing, and then I'm going to open up. We're going to get ready to close out. But now I want to read to you, because this jumped out at me. This really jumped out at me. Hebrews chapter 11, right? Now, if you haven't read your Bible, you're getting some good Bible reading tonight. Don't worry, I got your back. I encourage you to go read this on your own and see what God tells you personally. Even if you're not somebody that reads the Bible, read it. Try it out. Try it out and see, because I can tell you one thing, it will bring some insight and revelation and clarity that you never thought you could get, right? So now, Hebrews chapter 11 says, now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. This is what the ancients were commended for. That's Hebrews 11, 1 and 2. Now I'm going to go down to verse 6, and it says, and without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Now, wait a minute now. Right here in Romans, right here, let me see if I can share this real quick. Okay, I'm going to share my screen real quick with y'all. So you see here now, in Romans, it says, who shall separate us? Right here, verse 35. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? Down to 37. Yet in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor other created things shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. So we know that the love of God, we can't be separated from. But verse 6 here in Hebrews tells us, right here, where you see my mouse moving, and without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. That is why your obedience is better than sacrifice, because faith, obedience is done through faith. You're going to do what you've been asked to do, regardless if you don't know the outcome. See, too many of us need to know all the steps before we take one step. It's time for you to answer the call of God on your life. And I'm going to tell you something that maybe you did not know. It's going to require faith. But if you have a desire like I do to please God, I see it as a beautiful opportunity to build relationship with Christ. Answering the call in your life is going to help you get to know yourself in a way that you never thought you could. See, far too often we try to figure out our spouse, the significant other in our life, our children, our family members, our parents, and we really haven't stopped to take the time to figure ourselves out. So I want to encourage you to answer the call on your life, to tell yourself the truth, and to stop caring so much about what other people think about you. It's important because you want to please God. If you want to live a life that's fulfilled and joy filled and just shining light in the dark places in our world, then you're going to have to answer the call in your life. You're going to have to confront these things. And I just want to let you know that I'm here to support you along the way. So I thank you all for tonight. Remember, we're on every Monday night at 8 p.m. on the Heart Connections channel on YouTube, and we're on Zoom, and you can call in. And I love y'all. And now I'll open up for questions. Is there anyone that would like to share any comments or any questions about our topic tonight?
Well, can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
Oh, fine. Thank you. I'm so glad that I have the opportunity to be on. I'm always just blessed as I'm able to fellowship with so many platforms and things like that. I'm not showing myself right now. I just flew in and kind of busy with all this luggage and stuff like that. But I want to say, Brittany invited me. I think Brittany is on. Yeah, I think
so.
Brittany is on. I'm so glad that she reminded me and everything. But this is what I would say. I haven't always been in a place that I was confident and so on and so forth. But I will say, I thank God for the last, I want to say about 5 years. When I learned who created me, who I belong to, and all that he wants for me, it changed my life. And I don't think there's a place that I can't walk into with total confidence in who I am in Christ. A good cousin of mine who is very educated and stuff like that, it kind of broke my heart that he stayed away from his aunt's funeral on Saturday because he had been offended by one of the pastors. And one bit of advice that I gave him was this: we don't know a lot of time, even the people who we think dislike us, and maybe some of them probably do, but a lot of people are going through their own problems. And so my thing with it, I'm not going to let nobody, their tactics, who they think they are, or whatever the case may be, make me feel less than what God has told me, or who God has told me that I am. And Psalms 139, he says, we are wonderfully and fearfully made. And therefore, I think for us to undercut ourselves by thinking, we're not good enough and all that, I think it's a lot of nonsense and a tactic that has come from the enemy. So I believe that whatever we want for ourselves, all we have to do is look to him so that we can put in the work to achieve those things. So that's all I want to say.
I thank you so much for sharing, and I thank you for being here. Is it Felicia?
Yes, ma'am. Uh-huh.
Thank you so much for being here, and I thank you, Brittany, for inviting her. And I think that advice that you gave your cousin was very good. I often work with my clients on the idea that nobody can make you feel a kind of way, right? And I used to believe that for a while. That person hurt my feelings. That person made me feel bad. That person made me do this, or you made me like this because of your behavior. These are things that I used to really believe. And it wasn't until I started doing the work that I realized it was all a choice, because somebody could say something to me that I took offense to because I know them personally, but then some stranger could say the same thing and I can laugh at it because I know I don't know them. So I had to start to really break down what's bothering me, like what's offending me. And you're right. We have to get to a place that we have that belief in self, because life is going to come and knock you down. I was just talking to somebody and just saying, even in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus knew what he came to do. Jesus knew, he had to die on the cross, but even he cried out and said, my God, why have you forsaken me? Because it was just that heavy. But what we have to understand is that God has equipped us for it. And I just had a conversation earlier today. A cousin of mine said this to me a while back, and it really stuck with me. And because you mentioned having that confidence, and people will comment to me, "You so confident," or "You carry yourself so confident." And I don't consider that, but I consider it courageous, being courageous, because courage is doing it afraid. Courage to me is when fear meets faith. And I encourage you all, as you go through this journey, as you start to look at, do you care too much about what other people are thinking about you? And if you realize that you do, guess what? It's going to take courage to address that. Are you not telling yourself the truth? Have you committed to a lie because it's more comfortable than telling yourself the truth about any and everyone? There is so much work my mom and I have done when it comes to like our family, and like with her parents, her mother and her father. My mother grew up in an abusive household. My grandfather, I love him dearly. He had me spoiled rotten, but he was hell when they were young. And I didn't know that person, because when I met him, he was like the best ever. Like, I mean, I just absolutely adored him. He was just so sweet and so kind. But I remember how some of my aunts and uncles would look at us or look at him or look at me when I was little, because of the relationship that we had. And so I felt like I had a strained relationship with a couple of my aunts and uncles for a big majority of my life. And it wasn't until God revealed to me that it wasn't so much an issue with you as it was you were getting the love and the attention that they never got from the person they wanted it from. It didn't matter that they were grown, 30s, 40s, some 50s. Well, 40s, 30s, 40s. It didn't matter. What mattered was they were looking at something they wanted and they didn't get. So I had to tell myself the truth. I no longer was like, oh, my aunts and uncle, I got to deal with this, because I hear people deal with this in their families a lot now. I'm just using this as an example. But I had empathy and compassion for them, because I know what it feels like to look and feel like, why you not loving me like that? Why you not caring for me like that? Why you not showing up for me like how you showing up for others? And then coming to terms with what that thought triggers internally with our own self-esteem, self-worth, self-image. That's what hard work is. Getting down in the nooks and the crannies of why I have to be so confident. Why do I have to tell myself I got this? Like, what am I trying to convince myself out of? Let's target that, so that won't keep coming back. So that the foundation is set because it matters. And when I started telling myself the truth, oh, it wasn't that they didn't just, it wasn't so much that they didn't like you. It was that they saw you and didn't necessarily, they didn't get it from that person, and you did. And the flip side was I wasn't getting it from my dad. So I'm looking at them like, my daddy not here. I'm thankful for my granddaddy. So it's so many layers to how people react to us, how people respond to us. Now, I often talk about like my relationship with my mother. Like I mentioned the work that we've done, but like I didn't like her for years. We didn't get along. We tolerated each other. It was very toxic. I'm talking very toxic to anybody that was around. We would cut up any place, anytime. It didn't matter. An argument was going to break out. Why? Because we were on edge with each other. We were not telling each other the truth about our relationship. And therefore, we were attacking one another. Every time one said something the other one didn't like, blow off. It's just, it was like, it just was so dysfunctional for so long. And people who knew us intimately knew that. But if you didn't, you just thought we were fine and everything was cool. So I know what it is to like present this image like everything is okay, and it's not. I also know the toll that that takes on us. So yeah, we have to do that work, but we also really have to be willing to look at when people say things and do things that offend us, instead of being upset with them for what they said, let's look a little deeper at what they said and why that impacts us so heavily. Because that's where the true growth and healing is going to come from.
Can I say this?
Yes.
I often like to say, because we're going to go from level to level, and a lot of it is going to take faith. Well, all of it, faith, maturity, and education. And I believe that the three of those make such a difference as we go from level to level. I also agreed, I was on mute, but before you even said compassion and empathy, that's what I was saying here. And I think about how Jesus was when he looked at the ones who betrayed him. He told the Father, forgive them because they know not what they do. And what I'm doing now, as I look at people who seem to put people in bad or awkward positions of not liking them or making them feel uncomfortable to be around, I think sometimes we have to pause and look and say, forgive them because they know not what they do. A lot of people are making people feel uncomfortable simply because they're uncomfortable, simply because they're lacking in something, they're coming up short. So with all of that in mind, I'm like, who is there that can make me feel uncomfortable in my own skin when I'm very sincere? So we got to look at who we are in Christ. And if we're not out there trying to entrap anybody or cause confusion or destruction, why be afraid? Yes. And we're coming in all sincerity. We almost have to stand back, just like Jesus did at the cross. Forgive them because they know not what they do, and keep on going.
Mm-hmm. Amen. I absolutely agree. It's like you said, it's levels to it, right? So for me, I made a choice to forgive a lot of them, but the empathy and the compassion, it took more time to come because I was hurt. I was upset. I was hurt. But what I have found is that the more you give yourself to healing, it's just like what they say, if you draw near to God, he will draw near to you. You will never draw near to God and he pull back and shun himself or shun you. Never. And it's just so important for us. I think that's why it's so important for us to answer the call in our lives, because some of us are called to have compassion and empathy in areas. God has gifted us to have compassion and empathy in areas where others aren't gifted. They have a level of it, but maybe not as much. Like I don't really know what E equals MC squared have to do with anything that I do on a daily basis. But we all know about Albert Einstein and how intelligent he was and all that. I guess that's physics or whatever that is. But his call on his life was in that area that I don't know anything about. My call is for healing and for people to answer the call on their lives. And it sounds like, Felicia, whatever it is that you do is definitely something that is uplifting, encouraging others in some capacity, whatever that may be. Even if it's not your profession, I could hear it in your voice and in your comments. Like, and that's why I think it's so important for us to not look to the left and the right, back to the first two things, and really care so much about what other people have to say and run from telling ourselves the truth, right? It is facing that truth head on so that we can be empowered and so that we can see our world better. If you have ever looked at our current state in the world, it could be your personal life, it could be on the news, it could be what you're dealing with in your professional world, and thought to yourself, they need to do this or they need to do that. I just want to let you know that you are the they. You are the they. When I thought about what I feel like would help men and women to heal, when I mentored my young people, and I realized that so many of the children were dealing with what we dealt with as young people, and as parents, me and some of the other mentors realized that we as adults have to heal, because we're sitting here with these kids. We are on the same page with them emotionally because many of us have never healed the trauma from when we were their ages. And now we have children their age. The only way we're going to break the cycle is if we as adults heal so that we can raise healthy young adults who will in turn raise healthy children themselves. So the focus on the kids, I scale back some because I'm like, I got to work with the moms and the dads so that the household won't be so toxic, so that the family won't be so toxic. We're talking about how wild these young people are and all the violence and all of this stuff going on. People don't do that when they love themselves. People don't do that when they know their worth and know their value. So I know my call is to help people find that so that they will value the lives of others. I believe if I can work with some of the parents, the kids will do better because they'll have loving, more emotionally developed and mature and able and capable parents to parent them. Now, somebody else might have a passion for education and feel like these people need to be educated. Somebody else might have a passion for health and wellness and feel like these people need to eat better and exercise more and drink more water. Somebody else might have a passion for, travel. These same families that I'm working with on emotional things, your gift might be traveling. These people need to be exposed to other things so that they can dream. Same family being helped. But when all of us answer the call on our lives, we're being helped in these specific areas. Just like our body has different systems, just like we need good fat for our brain. Our brain feeds off of good fat. The rest of our body, different parts of our body, doesn't necessarily need that. We have to eat a balanced meal, balanced diet, so that our entire body and all of the systems can get what it needs. It's the same thing in our lives. We need to have that balance. And it hurts my heart that so many of us look at TV, we look on the internet, social media, and we think those people are the people that should do it. Those people are the people. And you are those, you are they. Anybody
Hey, Adelai.
Hey, Peaches, how are you?
I'm great. This call tonight reminds me of that one-on-one we had, and I just want to say thank you. It was beautiful, and everything that you're saying. That's when I realized that our story is our purpose. If when we keep saying what should I do? What is my calling? What is my purpose? Your story. If you keep saying it and it impacts people even after you leave, then that's your purpose, because you find that you're healing and ministering to yourself as well as others. So thank you. I can remember overthinking a lot of things, making a lot of excuses, and you wouldn't buy it from me. And you just, you spoke, this was gonna happen. You would listen now. I give you that. But you held on to what you said to tonight. And I'm telling you, that's another thing I realized. Our obedience is someone else's deliverance. So I don't hold back like that anymore. I'm like, if I'm obeying, someone else is getting delivered. So thank you. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for never giving up on what God has told you to do. I appreciate and love you. And it was just really nice to hear that conversation all over again. So I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Peaches. Maria has a very powerful movement and organization, Grace Haven Retreat, and she does a lot of other. She has multiple businesses. She's licensed educator. She does tutoring. I don't want to minimize what she does, but I just want to let y'all know that she's awesome, and you can definitely connect with her and check her out. Dealing with just healing families, working with individuals with domestic violence, and just so many other things. And I thank you for sharing that, because I think sometimes we overthink it. We think it has to be loud and big, and it doesn't. I can tell you the truth, coming back on doing Heal With Me, the enemy really, she said, thank you for the call. This is my first time in a while, and I appreciate it. Oh, thank you, Keita. Yes, you got to get back on and do what God called you to do. Excuse me. I was like in my head, like I need to do so much more coming back with Heal With Me. And God was like, no, just present the space. Just make the space available. And the people that need to come on will come on. The people that need to see will see. And as I need to make it more available and share it, I will. So I really encourage you all to share the information. But this is about building a community of people who are supporting one another in the work. I have found that, like, even with me doing heart coaching, Maria does coaching very similar to the type of coaching that I do, right? But we're not in competition with one another. She has people tuned to her frequency, just like I have people tuned to mine. Just like you listen to the radio station. You might listen to one radio station more than another, but you have your radio station tuned to different stations that I probably have mine tuned to, because we are on different wavelengths and different frequencies. And when God is calling us to do something, God is leading us to people who are on our wavelength and on our frequency. And it's important for us to be obedient. See, some of us will give, we will serve, but we will not be obedient. We will show up, we will be at the church, we will be at the school, we will show up at, friend's house, surgery, people pass away. We are there. But when it comes time for you to do what God has called you to do for your life, oh, I don't have the money, or I don't have the time, or it's not perfect, or I don't like how that looks. You can't compare yourself to other people. That's where telling yourself the truth comes in at. That's where not caring what other people have to say about you comes in. I just want to push this truth. You have to, and you must answer the call.
Can I add one more thing? Because you said that. I just want to encourage everyone on the call to really think about something, how much you love yourself. Now, just the fact that Addie mentioned that we do the same things, I still need to be poured into. So if I have to reach out to her and get that, and she pour into me so I'm able to go back out and pour into others, that's what it takes. And if I was sitting there constantly comparing myself to Adelaide, I would never have moved and done what I have done. And the fact that she took the time to say, even do what I have done. Now that let me know she wasn't worried about me being her competition. She was more concerned on, we have to be about our Father's business, and we have to do this at every angle so that Satan cannot have a field day with everybody. And I can appreciate that. And so it's just like any coach, any mentor, any teacher, any tutor, whoever you're going to, it's about investing in you. And it took me a long time to realize that. Why is it that I can help somebody else or find the money to do something else for someone else, but when it comes to me, I'm worthy of it too? And so I'm thankful for that, because it causes us to be sisters in Christ, but it also causes us on the business side to appreciate what we're doing when we are collaborating and partnering and even serving to each other. And I'm thankful. And there have been retreats that I've had, and she's spoke. I mean, we're concerned about everyone else, but we also have to look out for ourselves too. So I'm just encouraging you, if that's something where you're at and you're thinking about what's to do next, and this, I'm telling you, I'm grateful for Adelai and Heart Coach. It has helped me tremendously. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Maria. I appreciate you. I didn't expect that. I didn't even know you were getting on tonight. So thank you so much.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I think when we invest in ourselves, it is an amazing thing. I did 23 years in the Army, so I don't have to work another day in my life right now. So
Well,
I
thank you
can't.
for your service.
But I tell you what, you're welcome. But I still, this was the problem when I retired. A lot of my friends who retired alongside me or right around the time that I did, they retired with master's degrees and things like that. And I was always a workaholic, always want to give to my job and build my soldiers and things like that. So when I retired, I didn't even have a bachelor's. So I retired in 2014. And I remember saying, you know what? I'm walking around here lying. I don't even know how many hours I need to get a bachelor's degree. But I'm saying that I'm going to graduate school and all of these things. And till I took a hold of my life and left everybody else things alone. At that time, I had little kids, a newborn boy, and then my other boy was just 5. And glory be to God, since 2014 to the 28th of June that just passed, I just graduated with my second master's degree. And but it wasn't until I put a foot on my brain and a foot on the paddle of life and said, you know what? You're always running around here, helping everybody, building everyone else's dream, but you're not doing anything but lying to yourself and to everyone else. And so now I thank God I'm on a new mission now. And I said, now I fed my brain. Now it's time to feed my body better. So I made a personal vow with tears in my eyes. I often tell people I do a lot of things with tears in my eyes because I'm in so much pain just trying to push it out because it's just so much to do and things like that for just building self. And so now 6 days a week, I walk over 2 miles because I was losing my body in the scheme of things. And I said, you know what? It's funny that, they make these gowns so big that folks graduate in. And I see why. We're just drinking and eating whatever we have to sometimes just to make it through the next assignment and things like that. So I thank God that when he teaches us who we are in him, it's an amazing thing. And all we want to do is bask in what he has made. So it's amazing. It's amazing.
Amen. Well, I just want to congratulate you and celebrate you. Like, that's awesome that you did that. And I think it's just a testament. I think that's what we're going to talk about next week. So y'all make sure if you got anybody that's always taking care of everybody else and looking out for everybody else, bring them next week and tell them to wear their steel toe boots. Because I'm going to step on some toes next week because we really have to get to that point. I just really commend you for that, because what we do is we teach our children, we teach our loved ones we break this cycle of selfless caring. It's not healthy. It's not godly. Jesus did not wear himself out to the bone to heal people. Every time he did something or something happened, he would retreat and rest and pray and then come back and do miracles and stuff. He was not out here like he just got to save everybody. And if he don't save them, the world is going to hell. Well, we know what's going to happen. We've been told in word, but he knew he wasn't going to save everybody. Why are we trying to? But I'm not even going to get into that this week because we get ready to finish this call up tonight. But I just thank you, ladies, so much for being here. You fellas, I don't want to leave you all out either. I just thank y'all for taking the time to share, taking the time to meet with me tonight. I'm committed to heal with me, and I want us all to heal together. Men and women, we have to come together to support one another. And if you have any men in your life that you think need encouragement or uplifting, I invite you to share the information with them. I put some links in the chat if they want to go to the YouTube and check it out. But I just really want us to come together and heal, because when we heal, we will transform our lives. And when we transform our individual lives, we transform the world. Like everybody, we know these big name people through history, people like Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela. These were individuals that answered the call. That's it. The extraordinary things that they did all just came from obedience. Obedience that might have been uncomfortable, obedience that might have taken them places they may not have wanted to go. But look at how we herald them now and praise them and thank them for what they contributed. And I just want you to know that you have something in you that's equally as important that needs to come out. But if you're feeling unfulfilled and you're caring too much about what other people have to think, and you are not telling yourself the truth, and you have not been answering the call of God in your life, if you start working on those three things, you're going to see that you're going to find peace and you're going to find joy, you're going to find happiness in them. I'm not saying that chaos is going to go away, but I am saying that you will be better able to deal with it, better able to handle it, and you will be able to use it to catapult you to the next level. So I thank you all for being here. Remember, go to the website and check out theheartconnections.com, and you can get a copy of the books. You can find out other information there. And I am so excited. We will be here again next week at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So please share this information. Is there anyone else that would like to share before we close out?
I just want to say, Big Sis, this was really good tonight. I absorbed a lot of things that were said from you, the other ladies, and a lot of it, I'm here right now working on it. Like I find myself being more honest with myself, and that's a good thing. And I appreciate this platform. Also, Big Sis, please get at me because we want to book you for our women's conference in October.
Okay.
In Atlanta. Yeah. Okay, sis.
Okay. I'll definitely get with you. We'll get together tomorrow. I'm back in the office tomorrow. So we'll definitely get together tomorrow and we can talk about it. I'd love to.
Excellent.
But thank you so much. It's time. It's time, y'all. That's all I can say. It's time. My 10-year-old said to me the other day, he said, why does it seem like the days are going by so fast? He said that more than once. He actually said that a couple years ago. He was even younger. And I remember thinking, when I was little, I never, ever, ever felt like the days were going by too fast. They always felt like it was going too slow. It seemed like Christmas took forever to get here when school started. And like, the New Year's, the years are going by so fast. And I'm just telling y'all, like, we don't know what the future holds. But what we do know is we have control over ourselves and the decisions that we're making. And I'm encouraging you to control those decisions and make sure that they are aligned with what makes you whole and allows you to answer the call of God that's on your life. I thank you all. I love y'all. You can go back and watch this replay on YouTube at any time on our Heart Connections channel. I have the link right here. You can do bit.ly, or if you go to my website, it can take you to directly to the YouTube. So y'all have a wonderful night. Remember, please share this with anyone that you think could benefit from it, men or women. We will be here every Monday night at 8 p.m. Love y'all and have a wonderful evening.
Good night.
Good night.